Thanks to our Congress, where the concept of compromise has become synonymous with cowardice and hyper-partisan posturing is the accepted norm, our national government is once again shut down. As Congress works to hammer out a deal, federal workers in non-essential positions face furloughs. That also means many non-essential facilities like museums and parks will have to close. Livelihoods on hold, services on pause, and funding to disaster victims further delayed, not to mention the mental trauma inflicted on a legion of the undocumented young people known as dreamers, whose future has become a bargaining chip in the legislative horse trading. Okay, panel, on this January 21st, what is your point, Tony?
So let's put this in context. 1 year after Donald Trump is inaugurated, in front of a very small audience, by the way, the government is shut down. We've got some of the largest protests in American history in the streets, and the president's been busted with a porn star. What a disaster of a presidency. Now, people are going to blame Congress for the Trump shutdown, but let's make something clear. Congress learned to shut down the government from the Republicans. This is straight out of the Republican playbook. On top of it, we're talking about the lives of dreamers. We're talking about the lives of kids on insurance. We're talking about the people that need help. That's what Democrats help. You can't trust President Trump because I remember vividly, you saw it on camera. He said he wanted to work with immigration. He convened Democrats and Republicans. He said he would sign any smart bill. He wanted, and I want you to remember this, Trump wanted a bill of love. The only bill of love he got was from Stormy Daniels for $130,000, which she squeezed him for that. Otherwise, you can't trust him. This is all Trump's fault.
Okay, Jess, you know lots of those folks in Congress. What's going on here?
Well, the Democrats have been out there for the last year talking about resistance, obstructions, just say no the entire time. They have no desire to come to the table. And when Tony talks about children, yeah, children are in the crosshairs, and parents are not going to go to work tomorrow if the Democrats don't come to the table and begin to compromise on how we're going to get the government working again. This goes into effect essentially tomorrow, although I did have friends in New York that tried to go to the Statue of Liberty, and it was closed this weekend. But people will start not going to work tomorrow on this non-essential government employees if we can't come to the table today. And the story goes that if they don't come to the table today, that this could go on for quite some time. So we need the Democrats to start to come together. If they're serious about DACA, if they're serious about the children that Tony's talking about, then they'll come to the table and make a deal.
Okay, Marcus, what's your read on all this?
My read is this is the exact reason why we have the stalemate in Congress that we have today. Last I checked, there weren't just Republicans in Congress. Last I checked, there weren't just Democrats in Congress. It was made up of both Democrats and Republicans. And as a result, we have, as American citizens, nothing, zero, because both parties want to fight for each other, themselves. They don't want to fight for the American people. Here's the sad part. As this looming shutdown, as the shutdown loomed, both parties went to their corners and huddled and said, how can we preserve our party? How can we promote ourselves? How can we come up with a strategy, a tagline that would shine a negative light on the others? Neither of them went and said, let's make sure we're doing the best thing for America as a whole, as a team. And let's not talk about who came to the table and who didn't come to the table, because 5 Republicans voted against the Republican bill. 5 Democrats voted for the Republican deal. So if we get to this reality that our partisan politics has broken our system, as one of our founders said, it is a detriment to our society, then we'll come to an opening of the government and a betterment for the United States of America.
Okay, last week, President Trump messaged midweek that he was ready to compromise. That door was shut almost immediately, 48 hours later. Bob, what the heck's going on?
Well, the reason we're at this point is because the United States Senate has become a totally dysfunctional body. The House has passed budget bills, not continuing resolution, but actual budget bills. The Senate under Mitch McConnell has not brought any of those bills to the floor for a vote. That's why Chuck Schumer was able to shut down the government with a continuing resolution battle. The fact is that the Democrats do not want to pass any kind of a DACA bill. They could have done this during the Obama administration without a single Republican vote. They didn't do it. They could have done it at any point in time. The fact is the DACA bill doesn't even expire until March. We've got plenty of time to work on that. Now we're holding our veterans and our soldiers hostage, not paying them. Imagine you're a combat veteran in Iraq or Afghanistan, and now on top of worrying about whether you're going to get killed this morning when you go out on patrol, you also have to worry about whether your family can pay their rent, can pay their car payment, can pay their credit card bills, can buy groceries next week. That is an unbearable situation for these soldiers to be in, and it's inexcusable that the United States Senate has let this happen.
Okay, I use the term, cowardice is being labeled on those who want compromise. Nyanza, what's your read?
Well, I think that the compromise issue is one that was taught by the Republicans to the Democrats. Don't compromise, no matter what. I mean, this harkens back to the Supreme Court selection when President Obama should have gotten his chance. They didn't even want to entertain the concept. Mitch McConnell did not bring it to the floor on purpose. So when you think about it, this is exactly what the Republicans did to the Democrats. You can place the blame wherever you want to. We have 800,000 people that are DACA or dreamers. And so when you're saying that people can wait for their paychecks, there's already been a shutdown for 3 weeks. People understand how to make their money stretch. And those people should be thankful that they have jobs, but they don't have to go in fear of being deported on their way to work. At the same time, the Republicans are playing to their base. This is, again, a Tea Party situation, if you hearken it back to them, because the same way they say we must not let our base turn against us, this is an issue. Immigration is one of the things that Donald Trump ran on. We will build a wall and let Mexico pay for it. So now he cannot really let the Mexican children in or stay here or have a pathway to citizenship, even though over 60% of Republicans agree that there should be some pathway to citizenship. And also there's at least 80% of Americans believe that the Dreamers should be allowed to figure out some kind of way to become citizens. Because even though there was an ad put out by the Republican Party online where they're saying that, oh, the Democrats are responsible for letting the illegals here because they're committing all the crimes. Well, here's the thing. I don't know of any DACA recipients or Dreamers that have committed these crimes that they're talking about. So yet again, the Republicans are trying to make it appear as if the illegals are naturally tied to crime, which is not the right thing to do. The Democrats have to toe the line because they know that the Latino community, just like the African-American women's voice in the United States of America, is a huge voting bloc. If they turn on the Democratic base, or part of their base, which is the Latino community, then they will lose the next cycle of elections and they will not have the support of the minorities. So this is at a stalemate. The Trump people are going to go ahead and support the alt-right, and the Democrats are going to go ahead and consider to support the DACA Dreamers. That's all that's going to happen. We will never come to an agreement.
Bill King, bring this all around.
So going into this weekend, the support for the two political parties is an all-time low. 45% of the American people are now so disgusted with what you're hearing here today that they said we don't want to be affiliated or associated with either one of these political parties. George Washington spent a third of his farewell address warning us about the dangers of political parties and that they would destroy the country if we ever let them get complete control of government. That is exactly what's happened. 80% of the American people support a pathway for DACA kids. 80% of the American people support more border security. More than 80% of the American people are opposed to a shutdown. If you can't do what 80% of the American people want you to do, you need to be fired. Every one of you needs to be fired.
Okay.